Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello everyone, I am Untitled Economic Education 20 and 21, International Faculty of Economic and Business, State University of Surabaya. Okay, I will explain about the concept of Marxism talk.
What is Marxism or Karl Marx? Biography. Karl Marx is a teacher of communism whose teachings are still used today as a system of government in several countries in the world. This can happen because Marx's ideas began to show a great influence in the development of the world of work after he died. This influence continued to grow after being encouraged by the victory of the Marxist Bolsheviks in the Russian October Revolution. Karl Marx was very unique and rebellious because of his thoughts in his time. Even so, in the history of his life, he is known as philosopher, sociologist, political economic, and social theory. Marxism is a theory and method of working-class self-liberation. As a theory, it relies on a method of socio-economic analysis that views class relations and social conflict. Using a materialist interpretation of historical development and takes a dialectical view of social transformation, it comes from the work of the 19th century German philosopher Karl Marx and Friedrich Engels. Marxism is the basic of modern communist theory. This theory is contained in the book The Communist Manifesto, written by Marx and Friedrich Engels. Marxism is a form of Marx's protest against the nation of capitalism. He considered that the capitalists collect money at the expense of the proletariat. The condition of the proletariat is very sad because it is forced to work long hours at a minimum wage, while the result of their work are enjoyed only by the capitalists. Many of the proletariat have to live in the outskirts and slums. Marx argued that these problems arises because of the private ownership and control of wealth which is dominated by the rich. For the welfare of the proletariat, Marx argued that the nation of capitalism needs to be replaced with the nation of communism. If this condition continues, according to Marx, the proletariat will rebel and demand justice. This is the basic of Marxism. Karl Marx, his thoughts are very influential throughout the world since it was coined by him until now. The famous thought of Marx is that the working class and peasants or proletariat are obliged to struggle to free themselves from the oppressions of the bourgeoisie. One way that can be used to free oneself is through education. In Marx's view, the capitalist education system is wrong because teaching is given to students only to fulfill the interests of the bourgeoisie, so that not all the proletariat can get an education. Third is the curriculum. Marxism say that the education system is not fair in an unequal society. One of Marx's followers, Louis Althusser, said that the capitalist education system makes teachers as capitalist agents in their classrooms. They produce students according to the wishes of the teachers. Karl Marx idealized the creation of critical, radical, and revolutionary education, which in the end was able to produce human beings who truly want to fight for the oppressed. Education trapped in pragmatism for the sake of capitalism is an exploitation of the essence of the formation of educational institutions. Characteristic of Marxism. 1. Teachings of materialism, dialectics, and art. 2. History as historical materialism. 3. Adhering to rigid norms. 4. The power of the proletariat. 5. Prioritizing collectivity. 6. Commonal rights. 1. Teachings of materialism, dialectic, and atheism shows that everything in this world is a natural reality and has its form. Therefore, its implementation must follow the development of nature. However, because it believes that everything is material or has a form, this teaching does not recognize the existence of God and has no religion. Religion was seen as limiting and enhancing classes, and God is not something real. Everything in this world is born by itself. Therefore, this kind of understanding cannot be applied in Indonesia. 2. History as historical materialism. This feature shows that the teachings of materialism, which are somewhat contradictory to the world, exist by themselves. Historical materialism invites its adherents to understand the causal relationship of nature so that there is a sense to think scientifically. Number 3. Adhering to rigid norms. The ideology of Marxism regulates rigid norms, by which all people's life must be organized. The arrangement includes regulating how a person should live. Countries that adhere to this understanding make arrangements in all aspects of life. For example, regulating birth, regulating achievement, and managing state resources. This understanding is far contrary to the ideology of capitalism, which seeks to minimize state or government intervention, equalization of people's life on the basis of equalization of rulers. Number 4. The power of the proletariat. Although this teaching has made equality, but in the end the country remains under the rule of a group of people called the proletariat. These people generally consist of people who are knowledgeable and have economic power. Even in various forms of state highly appreciates group of people who are considered more knowledgeable than others, so that the proletariat is automatically a person who can get a good education and have big capital. Number 5. Prioritizing collectivity. Marxism has a characteristic that is collectivity by abolishing all private property. Everything owned by an individual belongs to the state and the state regulates its use. Number 6. Communal rights. The meaning of communal rights is rights related to the political system. The political system adopts a shared or private communist political system. Everything is based on the principle of equality, or in other terms, that is the same test. Example of Marxism. Example of Marxism in everyday life include 1. For example, when person A has one loaf of bread and he has 2 younger siblings, then he will divide the bread into 3 parts so that all 3 of them taste in the same. 2. A shop trader who has 3 employees, but one is a new employee. When the date on which they get their monthly salary, the salary earned by new employees is the same as the old employees. Conclusion of Marxism. The educational goals of Marxism can be seen in the historical concept and critical analysis, which say that society must be changed from capitalist to socialist. And finally, communist. In some countries that understand Marxism to Leninism, The purpose of education is to raise one's awareness to become a socialist and from a socialist society. So, it is hoped to able to create an understanding of what Marxism and the concept of education according to Karl Marx are. Hope that the younger generation of Indonesia to read more literature as a basis for thinking and moving, and indirectly gives a bad stigma against Marxism.
Oke,
Thank you for the attention. I hope you all can understand my explanation. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.